Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Risk Modeling Hub. If you have ever opened a bank's annual report and if you have came across this term expected credit loss allowance, I believe that you must have thought about how to actually calculate this number. If the answer to this question is yes, then this video is for you. Today I am going to walk you through a complete working IFRS 9 ACL model built entirely on Excel, where you will understand how to calculate the 12-month ECL and the lifetime ACL. We'll understand through a sample data set, and I am not just going to read the definitions for you. Here we'll understand a workbook sheet by sheet and see exactly how a bank like HSBC can arrive at its ECL number for its 2025 financial year. I have used their annual report publicly available for the understandings. And by the end of this video, you will understand what the three stages of IFRS 9 actually mean, how PD, LGD, and EAD actually fit together, why banks run the macroeconomic scenarios. So, if you are new to my channel, let me tell you that I create easy to understand educational content on credit risk modeling and validation, Basel, IFRS 9, machine learning, and career guidance to help both the beginners and the experienced professionals build successful careers in banking and analytics. So please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss my future videos. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll answer them. Here's everything that I will show you is formula driven, meaning every single number traces back to an editable input. Nothing is hard coded and nothing is hidden. And that's important because I want you to trust what you are seeing and I want you to be able to build this yourself. Yes. So here's our starting point, the cover sheet. Think of this as the dashboard for the whole workbook. And you can see we have got 9 sheets in total. Each has one very specific job. The one thing that I want you to notice is the core formula, the ECL, which is equal to the sum of the PD times LGD times EAD times a discount factor. And then we weight it across the scenarios. That's it. And that's the entire IFRS 9 methodology in one line. Everything else that we are going to look at is just a variation, expansion, or maybe a refinement of that single equation. So this workbook is built on three principles and that is important. It's 100% formula driven. It's forward looking, meaning it uses the expectations about the future and not just the history, and it's fully aligned with the regulatory guidelines that regulators expect the banks to follow. So alright, let's move to the framework. So this is probably the single most important concept in this whole standard, the three stages. IFRS 9 doesn't treat every loan the same way, and instead every loan a bank has on its books gets bucketed into one of the three stages, and these stages determine how much loss the bank has to set aside. So stage 1, this is the performing stage, and this is your healthy borrower. Nothing has really changed since the bank first lent the money. And for these loans, the banks only need to reserve the losses expected in the next 12 months. And that is the 1 year. Because if a loan is healthy, then why would you provision the losses for say 10 years? There is no need. Next stage is the stage 2. That is the underperforming stage. Now something has changed in this stage. There's been what's the standard called a significant increase in credit risk, or simply SICR. Maybe the borrower is 30 days or more past due, or maybe their credit score has dropped. Maybe their industry is in trouble, or the loan hasn't defaulted yet, but the warning lights are flashing. They have started. And for these loans, the bank has to reserve the losses over the entire remaining life of the loan. And that's the huge jump from the 12 months potentially to 10, 20, or even 25 for a mortgage loan. Now stage 3 comes as the impaired. The default here has actually happened, and it usually means that the 90 or more days past due, or the borrower has restructured, or maybe he is in the bankruptcy. Same as stage 2 here, and you reserve the lifetime losses. But now the interest revenue is calculated on the net amount after the allowance. And below that, we have got the formula unpacked. The four key things, that is the PD, LGD, EAD, EIR, and the time T. PD is the probability of default, likelihood the borrower defaults over the 1 year or the lifetime horizon. LGD is the loss given default, meaning that if they default, how much do we actually lose after we sell the collateral, right? EAD is the exposure at default. It's the outstanding amount expected at the time of the default. EIR is the effective interest rate, the discount rate to bring the future losses to prevent to the present value. And then at the bottom, you will see the 12-month ECL versus the lifetime ECL. You can see the clear comparison over here. 12-month ECL is one calculation, that is for one period, whereas lifetime ECL, it is a sum across every future year until the loan matures. I hope that you have got till the point. Cool. Now let's look at the inputs. So this sheet is the single source of the truth for the entire model. If you change one yellow cell here, every number in this workbook updates, and that's the beauty of a proper formula driven model. Now let's walk through what's here. So first is the global parameters. Reporting date here is 31st of December 2025. Currency is US dollars in millions, and our effective interest rate for discounting is 5.5%, and that's a reasonable weighted average rate for a global bank. Next is the macroeconomic scenarios, and that is where the IFRS 9 gets really interesting. The standard says that you can't just use your best guess for the future. You have to consider multiple scenarios and weigh them by probability, and then you will blend these results. So here I have applied the 4 scenarios. Usually we do take 3, but I just want to look at, if I take a 4th severe downside scenario, how the portfolio will look like. So for the upside, I have allocated 15% of the probability, and the rest is the multiplier, which means that the economy does better than the expected in the upside case. And this means that PD will drop to 70% of the base and LGD will drop by 90% of the base. For the base case, it is a 55% probability weight allocation, and this is your central forecast. All the multipliers here are 1 times, right? Meaning the moderate growth. Downside is allocated the 25% of probability, meaning the mild recession. And here, the PD can jump up to 1.6 times or 1.2 times, a human judgment. Then the severe downside, and the probability should add up to 100%. Then comes the PD term structure. And this is a 10-year table showing the cumulative default probabilities by rating. Rating A is the investment grade, but starts at 0.1% in year 1 and grows up to 3.25% by the year 10. Similarly, at the rating C, the substandard, this starts at, if you look at here, it starts at 4.5% and goes up to till 26%. And that's the beauty of the spectrum. If the better the borrowers are, they will default less and less often. Next I have taken is the LGD assumptions by the product, where mortgages, you will see I have allocated the 25% LGD because here you already have the house as collateral. And then comes the credit card. They are at 70% because nothing we have here to seize, and everything else sits in between. Next comes the credit conversion factor, the CCF, and this is for the undrawn lines. So this means that, let's say if a corporate customer has 100 million committed facility and they only drew 60%, then how much of the remaining 40 million will they pull down before the default? Because usually when the borrower is at the verge of the default, they tend to pull all the undrawn amount before the default. And here for a corporate committed line, the Basel committee says that you need to allocate 75%. That is the CCF. And then finally the SICR thresholds. 30 days past due is the backstop here, and a doubling of the lifetime PD versus the origination. This I have taken is the internal rule that mostly banks use, and everything downstream references these numbers. This means that you change any yellow cell and watch the whole model recalculate live. That's the beauty of this model. Now let's understand the portfolio of our borrowers. A realistic mixed portfolio, a short small portfolio of 10 loans, mixture of the retail and the wholesale, and this is being used throughout the workbook. This is taken to understand the concept of the 12-month and the lifetime ECL, out of which this portfolio, if you see, 2 portfolios are related to the residential, 3 are for the corporate, and 2 are for the SME loans, a trade finance facility for the GlaxoSmithKline line, this one, trade finance, and then you have the 2 retail exposures, a credit card and a personal loan. And for each loan here, you see that I have captured the drawn balance, the undrawn commitment, and the CCF that is being applied over here. And then I calculate the EAD. Okay, you can see from the formula as well, the undrawn balance, the drawn balance, the undrawn commitment, and the CCF. Combination of this is being applied in this formula, EAD formula, and then we calculate the EAD. So for the, let's say, picked up an example, say Tesco. For Tesco, it is being computed that 133.75 million is the EAD, the outstanding exposure, right? And if I add all 10 together, I am getting 292.049 millions, and that's the total dollar amount at risk. Also, you should notice that on the right, I have calculated, or I have seen that the tracking the days past due watch list and the original lifetime PD as well. And these three columns will feed directly into our next tab, the staging tab, where we will see the SICR term, significant increase in credit risk. So for each loan, we'll evaluate the three tests, and if any test triggers, then this means that either the stage 2, and if it is already credit impaired, then we'll go to stage 3. So let's understand quickly. So this sheet is where every loan gets its stage. If you can see the rightmost column, and it runs the three tests on every single loan. So basically, the test that I am talking about, the first test is the DPD backstop, the second is the PD doubling, and third is the default, right? So DPD backstop means that any loan, if it is greater than 30 days past due, that if it triggers that, this means that that particular test has failed, and we'll then move on to the from stage 1 to stage 2, and similarly the PD doubled and the credit impaired. So let's move. So the PD backstop, the test 1, if it yes, then we are already moving that particular loan to stage 2, right? And that's the quantitative flow that IFRS 9 explicitly mentions. Similarly, the PD doubling. It's a common bank practice that if a current lifetime PD has risen to 2 times or maybe greater than 2 times the original lifetime PD at origination, this means that SICR is presumed. This means that there is significant increase in credit risk, right? And these are used popularly by global banks internally at internal level. And then comes the test 3, the default test. If the loan has already crossed the 90 days or more, then this is the credit impaired loan, and we are directly moving it to stage 3. So let's understand it through an example. Okay, so let's look at row 14, the Carolan style contractor. Here the days past due is 45, right? So this means that the first test is getting failed because DPD here is greater than or equal to 30, and this means that it triggers for the stage 2. Here also, if you look at the current PD, here is 71.5 and the original is 26. So it has also failed the PD double test. That is, since the origination, the current one is more than 2 times the PD. And that means that SICR has been triggered. So it is moving to stage 2. Now let's say if you look at the XYZ retail loan working capital, here the DPD is 120. Already the test 3 is getting filled, although the other ones also, but the test 3 is also getting filled and it is directly moving to stage 3. So if you apply this concept to all the other loans, you will see that 7 loans are moving to stage 1, 2 loans are moving to stage 2, and 1 loan is moving to stage 3. That's the composition of all the 10 loans. Okay, now move on to our numbers part, the actual numbers. So this sheet is basically calculating the 12-month ECL. And remember that this only officially, the 12-month ECL concept is applying only to the stage 1, but here I have calculated for other stages as well to complete the mechanics. Otherwise, from conceptual understanding point, you should never forget that the 12-month ECL is computed for the stage 1 accounts, right? So 1 year PD is pulled from the term structure based on the loan rating. Okay, and then the LGD is pulled from the product type table. The EAD is from the portfolio sheet. Okay, so this portfolio from this particular portfolio sheet, because here we have calculated the EAD, right? LGD I have already shown you in the inputs table. Here I have taken the LGD assumptions, so from there the LGD one, and the 1 year PD is pulled from the term structure based on the loan rating. So based on these ratings, from this particular table, the input table, this is allocated, right? And then post the EAD, then we have a 1 year of the discount factor, which is 5.5% is something that we have assumed. And from that, you already have the formula with you. You know that the discount factor is computed using this 1 divided by 1 plus the discount factor annual to the power, right? 1. Because here, why 1? Because we are calculating the discounting factor for 1 year. So once you calculate, once you have all the numbers, so for the 12-month ECL, it is coming out to be for HSBC, UK Mortgage Smith family, it is coming out to be 0.0001 billion, and it is coming out to be very small. And this makes sense also. You should see that the rating is A only. It's a very healthy loan, and for that, a tiny ECL is making sense. Similarly, you can compute this by this methodology for all the other loans as well. And when you do the summation of all these loan ECL across all the loans, you would see that it is coming out to be 0.2459 if we are looking only for the stage 1, right? But for all the scenarios, it is 1.2, but if you filter only for the stage 1, it is coming out to be 0.2459. Then comes the probability weighting, we applying the macroeconomic scenarios, right? So we have the upside, base, downside, and the severe one. And for the upside one, how do we calculate? Let's look at it. Yes. So what's the formula? It's the PD, LGD, EAD multiplied by the multiplier. If you remember in the inputs, I will show you. And then the discounting factor as well. So F9 is my 12 months of PD, right? For this particular loan, remember that now we are at the step 2, applying the macroeconomic scenario. So for the L001, I am trying to explain. So F9 is my 12-month PD. Then I am taking the inputs of D14. So this is the PD multiplier, D14, right? D14 is the PD multiplier for the upside case. Then after D14, it is the G9. G9 is my LGD, and E14 is my LGD multiplier from that particular sheet. Then D26 is my EAD, and then J9 is my discounting factor. You multiply all together, you will get the ECL upside for the first loan. Similarly, you can calculate the upside ECL for all the other loans, and similarly, likewise, you can calculate the base, downside, severe for the other ECL as well. Then you remember that we have the weighted allocation as well. You combine all together, and we need to, our target is to find the probability weighted ECL. So with the ECL upside, you have the upside weightage, then plus of this sum product of this ECL with the weighted allocation. Then you get the weighted ECL for this particular loan. When you repeat all the process, you have the final total ECL. If you have the for all across all the loans, you have 1.56 million. But if you just specifically by the definition, if we go about, then we have 0.32 approx 32 million allocation for the stage 1 loan only, and that's what we are looking at. Now let's move on to the lifetime ECL. This is for, as in this one, we'll be considering the stage 2 and 3 loans. So for this, like in the theory, we already have studied that we need the lifetime ECL here. And since this is a much bigger calculation, we need to look very carefully. And here we are looking at every loan until it matures. So for this, I put up the remaining maturity for each loan. So for each borrower, what's the maturity date and how many remaining years are there. And please note that I have capped this year at highest at 10, right? And not more than that. For that, what's the LGD and EAD? And basically, first step is to make a summary table. Then I build a cumulative PD table, which is by year for the base scenario. This is being done from the PD in term structure table, right? And here a cumulative PD schedule is being done for each loan. And if the loan, let's say, matures in 3rd year, then we are using the PD for the 1, 2, and 3 years. And beyond that, we just hold the number flat. because there's no more risk. We require till the 3 years, so we are considering only that. Now comes the key concept, the marginal loan. So basically, cumulative is meaning that till that particular year, what's the probability? But marginal means that we are looking at that particular specific year only. So let's say if I want to look at marginal PD, meaning what's the probability of getting defaulted in that particular year? That's the cumulative PD at year 3 minus the cumulative PD at the previous year. You can see that. And this because we need the incremental probability of defaulting specifically in year 3. And this having the assumption that that particular loan has survived till the year 2, and what's the probability that the loan will get defaulted in the year 3. And each year has a separate potential loss event. Then comes the step 4, the discount factor. Because a dollar of loss in year 10 is worth less than a dollar of loss today. You can see that over here. For the first year, I am computing at the year 1, depending upon which year we are standing, and that's the incremental. You can see in the formula itself, in the formula bar. So in year 10, you will see that the discount factor has become down to 0.585. It started from 0.94 and it reaches to 0.585, and that's the necessary, the calculation. Then comes the step 5, the period by period ECL, and that's the actual ECL by year. So for basically for each year, I computed the marginal PD, the one that we have computed above. I pulled that, and then the marginal PD times the LGD times the EAD and times the discount factor. Once you are multiplying all together, you are getting actual ECL provisioning for that particular year, because they are using the actual year discounting values and the actual probability for that particular year, which is coming from the marginal PD, right? And then we sum across all the years to get the total lifetime ECL, right? So that's I would say a 70% of the work has already been done. What's left is the applying the scenarios. So likewise, at the 12-month ECL, we applied the scenario. Similarly, we'll apply for the lifetime ECL as well. And then we'll do a sum product across all the ECL, between the ECL and their weightage allocation. And that's how we'll get the final ECL, right? Yes. So final ECL, as if we apply only to the stage 2 and stage 3 loans, but we are getting for stage 1, we already have computed 12-month ECL, right? So by the definition, for the stage 2 and stage 3, the lifetime ECL should be computed, and that's coming approx 1 million, right? And compared to stage 1, if you look at, that was 0.32. But are you looking at what's the difference that I am trying to tell you? Once the loan is moving to severe stages, stage 2 and stage 3, the provision, the ECL is already jumping at a very high speed. So stage 2 and stage 3 have only 3 loans out of 10. If you remember, the 3 loans out of 10. And if you see the row number 72 and 73, yes, 72, you will see that 72 and 73, yes. So if I add up this one, and yes, that's a very less one. So you will see that approx 1 million is that particular contribution only, right? This we are looking at this particular cell, approx 1 million out of 1.3. 1 million is just the stage 2 and 3 contribution. Now let's move on to the scenarios one. So this sheet already we have discussed regarding the probability weight and the allocation. Now I would like you to directly look at the outcomes over here, the total ECL allowance. So under the upside scenario, you would see that our total ECL allowance would only be about 0.64 million. And under the severe downside, it is 3.56 million. That's, you can see that it's more than 5 times the upside number. And here's the counterintuitive part. This is one of the most important concepts in IFRS 9. So if you just look at the base scenario, you would get 1.02 millions. But the probability weighted answer, blending all the 4 scenarios, you would see it is 1.32 millions. So why is the weighted answer higher than the base? Please think about that. This is because the losses are non-linear. When the time gets bad, they get much worse than the proportional. And PDs don't just double, they can go up to 4 times also. LGD can spike, everything moves against you at once. All together can happen. Can go on the good side, can go on the bad side also. And IFRS 9 forces banks to capture that convexity by explicitly weighing a severe scenario, and even only with 5% of the probability. That's why I took a fourth scenario as well to see its contribution separately, the severe downside. And if you see a chart below, this visualizes exactly what I'm trying to tell you. The way this total ECL escalates as we move from upside to base to downside to severe downside. You can see that this is exponential looking shape, right? Rather than a very straight line. This is an exponential, and that's what I'm trying to explain regarding the ECL allowance. It should be like that and not a straight line. So now comes our final money sheet. So here the probability weighted ECL is coming out to be 1.32 the total allowance. Out of for that the EAD covered is 20 to 92 millions. We have already calculated that, and from that we can calculate the coverage portion. Coverage, right? Coverage is just the ECL divided by the EAD, and this tells us how many cents of every dollar is exposed the bank is provisioning. Now let us look at the stage 1. This stage composition. Stage 1 is making up of across 85.7% of the exposure, right? But only 24.2% of the ECL, or I would say of the losses. Whereas the stage 2 is just 12.7% of the exposure but 75.8% of the losses. And stage 3 has fully written down the loans. So it shows the minimal marginal loss here, right? And that's the entire economics of the banking on one screen. A small tail of stressed loans, it derives the majority of your proportions. So you have seen how to calculate the formula for the 12-month ECL. I hope that you do have understand the lifetime ECL also. So you have a complete IFRS 9 ECL model where you have understood the 12-month and the lifetime ECL component. And nothing here is hidden. I have tried to explain from the formula perspective how to calculate that. Nothing is hard-coded over here. And if you have found this video useful, I would request you to please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and drop your comments telling me regarding the feedback of this video. And also you can tell me what would you like to see next, and let me know in the comments. I will see them. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much.